Well, good afternoon, YouTubers. This is Mark. This is my Can-Am. It's an X3. It's a 2019. And it is my baby. Just do a quick walk around here. Talk about some of the stuff I've done to this vehicle. And why. Well, let's start off with the front end of this machine. We own this machine. Took her down to Moab the first 3 days I owned this thing. Found out a few things we wanted to change on it right off the bat. And over the past year, that's exactly what we've done. We'll start off right here in the front. We could see this. We did the tie rod bump steer on it. Great from the factory, but a little bit of feedback in your steering wheel, especially when you're going down a washboard road. Didn't exactly like that, so checked around. Already had our idea that we was going to have shock therapy do the shocks on this, and found exactly what we needed there, and it was worth every penny. No feedback through the tires, through the steering wheel, through the power steering, no matter what selection you have it on. It just does absolutely awesome. It's exactly what they turned around and advertised it as being. And little tie in there right there. Absolutely smoothed out the ride from the steering. From day one we put it on, I could not believe the difference that it made. When we were out riding it and going through whoop-de-doos or, you know, a washboarded road, you could feel the steering wheel move back and forth and jiggle on you. After we put these bump steer tie rods on, absolutely went away. Could not be happier with what we did there. Then of course we decided we were going to do the shocks through shock therapy. Did the limit straps too here. I like to have fun. I want to say what they did a phenomenal job working on our shocks. Absolutely made this car go down the road like a Cadillac. It was awesome and impressive from day one, but adding and doing the shocks from shock therapy, we sent them in and they absolutely came back everything that was advertised and I'd ever heard about shock therapy doing on work on your shocks. Absolutely love the ride that it gives us. No backlash from the back, no rocking your neck back and forth when you come off the whoop-de-doos. Smooth the ride right out. And talking about smoothing the ride out, here we go right here. We noticed a lot of chatter from the very first day that we got this machine from the back end, and it was coming from the rear sway bar on this machine. Checked around, see what we could do. A lot of people change out the sway bar connections, change them. We ended up going through these Walker-Evans shocks that are on this, and what you end up doing is come around over the side this one. The sun's not on here. They actually take out any kind of bump out of the rear end when you're going down a washboard road, off camber just a little bit. You get just a little bit of chatter out of the back end from the tie rod doing its job. Going slow, I get almost 2 inches more articulation out of the back here with just going over rocks and everything. As you can see, the other one was down, this one's up, just because the machine's kind of off kilter here a little bit. And just quieted the ride from the back of the machine. We rode it pretty hard without them. I've rode it really hard since I've had them. I've never noticed a difference out of them. Hurting the performance of the machine, especially when going fast. The shocks do a great job. So one tire can be up, this one here can sag down a little bit. And like I said, you almost get 2 more inches of articulation out of the back, out of your trailing arms from not binding up off that link that was in there before, that was a solid link before I put the walkers in. And these Walker-Evans definitely did exactly what they turned around and said. And I did quite a bit of studying back and forth what I was going to do, chose this route, and have absolutely loved it. I wouldn't give these up for anything, just for the quietness that it gave the machine, and just I did not lose any stability whatsoever out of the machine at all by putting them on. It was a gain. It was a win-win all the way around. This is the newest addition to the machine. We are running 35s on this machine. We're running System 3 off-road tires. They're the RT 320s. I only had one trip out on them, and thus so far I have been pretty impressed with them. We'll get back into the tires a little bit later. I used to have the BF Goodrich K3s on here. Loved them. They were 32-inch tires. Gave up a little bit by leaving them tires to come to these tires. A little bit of pros and cons. I think everybody kind of understands the tire issue when you're dealing with a lug pattern. So this tire here tends to push out just a little bit on the front end. Doesn't quite grab. As you can see, the lugs are spaced out just a little bit farther than if you was to look up the BF Goodrich tires, the K3s, the Baja Champions. They are a little bit tighter, a little bit sharper ridge. And on this big long school bus, it makes a little bit of difference when you're on a tight switchback and you're turning hard. So it pushes out just a little bit with these, but overall that's absolutely great. It was sandy dirt anyway, it wasn't hard pack, but so far really impressed with these tires. And they're sitting on some nice bead lockers. I got some KMC bead lockers on here. Just changed the color, gave it kind of a two-tone a little bit here. I had to clean them up before. Bead lockers were starting to get a little beat up with the rock connection here and there. So one of the nastiest little scars I got was from this last year in the snow. It wasn't pretty, but they cleaned up. Gave them kind of a two-tone, like I said. I think they come out pretty good. Walk around to the front again here. Of course, I'm standing in the sun. Got the Dragonfire mirrors on it. Not going to say anything too bad about these mirrors. Looking for some other mirrors to put on here. These mirrors have some plastic lugs inside that keeps them from rotating and keeps them locked in place. They didn't last very long at all. You got to snug these suckers down to keep them in place. I'm sure not everybody's had that problem. We're off with this machine. We live in Idaho. We go down through where there's a lot of timbers, trees. It's suck it in, and we definitely put the pinstriping on this machine. But we bought it to use, and I don't know. We've got some other mirrors, and they wouldn't clear my doors. We like the uppers. I don't run with them a lot. I'm not gonna lie about that. My wife doesn't like it. But hey, when it's cold, I guess we got to start putting them back on. But the other mirrors that I just replaced these Dragons with would not clear the door closing. Maybe somebody's got some ideas or ran across the same problems with these Can-Ams and the factory doors uppers. These are Can-Am uppers right here. And they are really nice. I love them. I don't like to run them when we're going down a lot of roads and trails that have a lot of branches and stuff sticking out, because you know, you just don't want to destroy them. But it's kind of became a joke in our club about me running my side curtains on here and with my wife. So I guess they're on to stay, especially during the cold season. We'll walk up a little bit closer, a little taller on this machine. Got 4 LEDs up here in the front. Got my nice little cat eye in here between the shock towers here. And can't see them tonight, or this afternoon, but I do have rock lights on this. I run reds. I like the red color. Looks good. Good friend of mine turned around and turned me on to these DeWalt boxes that I run on top of the machine. Great storage, dust proof, waterproof. I run a flat can on top. Have never really had to use it. This machine gets awesome mileage. We can go out and put on probably a good 150 in a day and not have to worry about filling up. Although you are looking at for a fuel station about that many miles. Run a shovel holder here on the side. Have used that quite a bit. That's handy in the snow, mud. I run 2 backlights. Very handy at night. As you well know, these Maxes are not short. So it is nice to have light behind you when you are backing up or maneuvering. Very handy on Moab Like I said, we took it there in the first 3 days. And our last excursion out of there on our last day was, we decided at the last minute we were going to come down Pritchett Canyon with this machine. And we started out at the top of Pritchett Canyon at about 5 o'clock in March. And by the time we came out the bottom of Pritchett Canyon, it was midnight. And as it was dark that night. It was blacker than the inside of a cow. So every bit of light that I had put on the machine when we purchased it, or and had it set up this way, was exactly for that reason. We run a trail machine, a Razor, and we run lights on it, but nothing like this. We knew what we were going to do with this machine. We were going to need a lot of light. We like running at night, and it is not a bad idea to have as much light as you possibly can. Between the factory headlights on this machine, my cat eye here in the center of shock tower, and the top ones right there, I can make it daylight out in front of me of good 40 yards. Farther, but visibly really great for the first 40 yards. I got the two tops up here kicked out just a little bit, just to make sure when I'm going slow, dinking around, we can see everything that's coming up. Run the fire extinguisher, run a quick release on that right there. All I gotta do is pull the pin. Fire extinguisher is readily in hand, and I can take care of whatever issues I have if I run across a Razor on fire. Couldn't be happier with this machine. Absolutely. Performs, handles. I've had 4 people, adults in here. I'm not a light person at all. I'm 6'5", and whether she's loaded with 4 adults in it, or it's just my wife and I, it absolutely performs. We'll walk inside here and I'll show you some of the stuff we've done inside. Like staying communicated with everybody out there. So we run the rugged radio system, headsets, PA. No complaints on that. In fact, a shout out to Rugged Radio. This is not a advertisement. They didn't do anything for us whatsoever on this. I just did a lot of research, and there's quite a few radio systems out there, and just decided to go with Rugged. That was what my friends was running. Kind of wanted to stay the same, and this last year had a problem. It wouldn't power up. The indication light would come on, but the screen wouldn't come alive. I could run my PA system because it's a separate system, but the radio itself would not come on, and I could not communicate. So I decided, well, it's been over a year. I'll send it into Rugged Radio and we'll see where we're at. Literally, they received it within a couple of days. I had a phone call from Rugged Radio on the very first day it was in the shop. They told me what was going on with it. For some reason, the screen in the front half of the unit had shorted out. They determined there was no water damage. There was no issues with that. It was a clean radio, and literally shipped me out the radio fixed, or sent me a new one or the other. They didn't really specify. And within a couple of days after that, I had a brand new radio, no hassles, great service. They were very friendly, and couldn't be happier. I don't think I've ever had to do an exchange or dealt with something that was broke and sent it into a manufacturer without jumping through a lot of hoops. And they didn't question me once. They just gave me a new unit, and I was off and running. So very happy with that. As you can see on the inside of the machine, I run dome lights. Like I said, we run a lot at night. You probably see that in the video. It absolutely illuminates the machine at night. You can find anything on the floor in here or in between the seats. There's enough light between the 2 in the back and the 2 in the front. Absolutely awesome light on the interior at night. So turn around here and fire it up a little bit. I run a backup camera on it too. Like I said, it is a school bus. It's nice to be able to see directly what's behind you. And of course you can hear that S&B particle separator in the back. Don't leave home without it, guys. We have had quite a few different machines this last year suffer from serious engine. Well, engines just getting destroyed because dust got into their machine. Don't dust your engine. Filters is everything for these machines. This sucker right here is worth every penny. We're talking about a turbocharged engine. It's pulling a lot of air. I'm not just saying turbo just to brag on the turbo part of it. It is pulling a lot of air. You do not want to get dust in your machine. That was one of the first things that was put on this machine before it ever hit the trail. Love it. It's a little loud on the fan. I run dry filters, pre-filters on my Razor, my trail machine. Of course, there's no fan in them, and anybody that's been around the Polaris Razors know that the inside of their air filter box, it looks like the bottom of a shop vac. And after I just put the dry filters on my Polaris, you can white glove the inside of the boxes. And that's pretty much the same thing with this. I take my air filter out. I'm still running the stock one, although I will replace it because I think I'm starting to push enough hours on it. I think it's just time to put another filter in it. But every time I pull it out, put it to the sun, it's just clean. There's just no dust getting past that. I know we're gonna have to probably go back and edit, but I think it's California technology. They make quick releases for your front sway bar. All I gotta do is just pull a pin, push a little pin in, and slide that off, and I have good articulation in the front. I've only used them once, but I can guarantee you when we go back to Moab, I'm actually gonna be going down to Zions and running around Zions here in 1st of November, and I will definitely be been doing some clutch working on it. KWI has done the whole float mod on it. I've got a new helix coming for it from Evolution Power Sports. They are going to be a lot of fun to work with. I think they love their Can-Ams. I was talking to a gentleman there, Kenny, and he can't wait to work with us to get this machine just dialed in completely. So that should be a lot of fun. Right now she runs great, but high gear, she bumps just a little bit. So like I said, that was first trip out on this. So next time we go out, it'll be just a little bit better. And that's about it.